So hello, and welcome to another Fireside Chat, Codurance Fireside Chat, and I'm José, Managing Director, and I'm joined by Mash and Sandro, both co-founders of Codurance,
Hello,
and
everyone.
MDs as well. Uh, yeah. So if you're new to this Fireside Chats, this is just a conversation between friends. This is the kind of stuff that we used to do after work on a Friday. And at some point, we decided maybe some people will be interested as well in participating in the conversation and in some of the ideas. This is completely freestyle, I would say, and it's like a jam session. We just pick a topic. Now we're doing it a little bit more in advance, but we're still not preparing for it. So this is just for promotional purposes. But we pick a topic and we just bounce some ideas. And if you like what you do, like, subscribe, hit the notification thing so that we can you can know when we're going live. We're normally doing this every Tuesday around this time. And the topic for today, yeah, is that of the cult of the hero programmer. Yeah, this is something that probably most of us have seen firsthand, even if we didn't use this term to describe it. No, but it's something that it seems to be still quite prevalent in the industry. The other day, I was watching one of those tweets from the whole Twitter saga thing that is happening now, where someone was like, "Oh, I drank 8 Red Bulls and I spent the whole night rewriting that piece of crack code that we have for 10 years, whatever." Right? And for me, this is kind of that. It talks to that point of the hero programmer, no, or the hero developer. So, as usual, let's start with a bit of a definition, no? To set the context or frame the conversation so we're not all talking about different things. Mash, would you like to do the honors? What is it?
I know least about this subject, but you know what? I'm gonna try to
Try to
define
define
it
it. What do
anyway.
you think is the hero
So,
program?
okay, so actually, I kind of came up with a topic, so I should define what I mean by a hero programmer, and it comes from a few times where I've seen this phenomena in teams in my career, where there is this one person that is has been around for ages, understands every part of the code base, and is has built all these mechanisms, templates, search kind of methods and everything else to know exactly where things might be and how to get it fixed. But the way they do it is it's only specific to them. So it's not a team player. It's they basically they're in it for the glory, and they they the only person in the team that matters to them is themselves. The problem is that they are a very good, let's say, firefighter, right? So every time when there is a fire, people come to them from outside the team in particular to fix it, and they can put out the fire. The main reason they can put out those fires and they know where the fires might be is because they're often the cause of it. But no one really cares who caused the fire, but they are the ones they come to. And I've seen a few times where there's even a competition and who changed the most lines of code in the past year in the whole system, and it was that hero programmer. So they are everywhere in there, and they are glorified because they are the only one that can actually fix things, and they're the only ones that can fight certain fires within. Now, whether that's good and bad is what we are going to debate.
Jose, before I even go myself, like as you were opening the episode, and by the title as well that we end up choosing. So the title for me implies that this is a bad thing. That's how I interpret the title that we chose. But before I even go on, I want to hear from you. Like Mesh came more on the negative side. I wanted to know where you stand on this. So how you define the hero programmer. Uh, so that I can cut.
So
Yeah,
okay, so
I'll
so
see what
so
I'll
I'll
coming.
I'll I'll jump
Yeah. All
in
right.
the swimming pool myself. Yeah. So for me, the hero programmer, yeah, is someone who, let's say, saves the day, no, or sacrifices themselves in order to make whatever the release, fixing the bug, whatever, right? And normally that would mean either working really long hours or through the weekend or stuff like this. Yeah. um and things would get solved. Yeah. And from my perspective, there's good things and bad things from this, because you do want people to be committed, and definitely if they are making the sacrifice, yes, they may be doing it for the glory. I love that phrase, by the way. They're in it for the glory. uh, but they may be doing it because of those reasons or selfish reasons, but they end up, getting the stuff done, or getting to, resolving, no, an issue. Now, that commitment and that kind of drive to get things done, I think it's a good thing, and we should all have that, yeah, and know when to apply that or not. Now, the part that I do feel is a negative, or works against having a sustainable pace and, a healthy culture and all those things, is when that becomes a cult, when that is a cool thing to do. Because for me, that should be the exception, right? Like, if that is happening, is because a lot of other things went wrong, yeah, and now there's only one person that can do that job, and yeah, that poor of that person, kind of, no. And that is the negative aspect, when that becomes institutionalized, and that becomes something that is rewarded, and that becomes something that people do strive for, or take pride on, yeah, is when I have an issue with it, and that's the cult part. Because in if you look at it from a systemic point of view, for me, it's addressing a symptom, is not addressing the root cause. So if you have an issue in production that can only be solved, coding through the whatever weekend, or you have some problem with your delivery, and you can only do that if you're doing crunch time, and there's then yes, that is the symptom, and you can treat the symptom, yeah, but you're not treating the underlying cause, which is, why did we get to this point? Why didn't we see that there was an issue with the ear? Why didn't we see that, there's only one person that can fix this? And that, for me, is the issue, right? Like, because there are certain rewards usually associated with the behavior, or people tend to glorify the behavior, yeah, uh, the real issues don't get solved. In fact, in some cases, you may provoke the opposite effect, no, like, you get more of that firefighting, because that's what people thrive on, no, or that's how they feel recognized, no. If everything goes well and there are no issues, and we deploy a time and we nobody needs to stay, there's nothing to celebrate, no, like, there's no, we did a good job, but there's no inciting incident to suddenly rally behind and drink beers or whatever, right? So that's my take on that.
Mm. Okay. So there is a risk that I go on a monologue. So if I start going on a monologue, you cut me. But I just remember that I actually wrote a chapter of my book. That's chapter 5. It's called Heroes, Goodwill, and Professionalism. That's the title of the chapter.
Are you
And
gonna read the whole chapter? Is it a reading?
no, I'm not. So, but there are, I think we need to distinguish many different scenarios, right? So there is a scenario where the there is business pressure. So the way that the organization is, that the processes are in place, it leads us to always like it leads the development team to be always firefighting. They're always behind tight deadlines and things like that. So that this scenario might, for me, this is the wrong. This is where I normally don't like the idea of the hero cult, if you like. When the scenario is this, when there is a systemic problem where people are always falling behind, there is a lot of pressure to deliver, and then people are almost forced to do that, or maybe if it's not explicitly, then there is the peer pressure of doing that because they will need to sacrifice.
Everybody else is doing it, no?
Exactly,
So if
because
I
like
don't do it,
that's
then
the only way to get that shit done. And now it's way too late for us to review the processes and stuff like that. Now we are in the situation we just need to get it done. Hopefully, once we get that done, then we can stabilize the process. But like when things are on fire, or for example, if Black Friday is in 2 weeks and you need to release something now is not the time to change the process, right? So we just work a weekend, get the shit done, and then after Black Friday, say, okay, now we need to sit down because I don't want to go through that again, right? But this situation is very different from when someone is highly motivated and they want to do things even without the business pressure, but they are really trying, they would like to do certain things, but they are very passionate about the system that they have, the product or whatever. And every now and again they say, look, you know what? I would love to spend a few extra hours or even a weekend just coding something that I find that is really cool. And then I will do that. And there is not the same kind of so this is one separation. One, there's business pressure. The other one, when people really want to do that because they enjoy what they're doing. We can discuss how healthy, how sustainable it is separately. Then there is an element of reward, and that is an orthogonal concept to it, because you can be rewarded or not in both scenarios, when there is pressure and when there is not pressure, right? So when there is pressure, you might be rewarded or you might not. You might just say, you know what, you work at long hours because that's what we expect you to do, period. Or, well done, you guys did that, let's do that again next time, and everyone is rewarded again. And the same when the guy is just, or the person is just like doing that on their own. Sometimes they're rewarded and say, wow, this person is amazing, he's really dedicates a lot to the company. Or they say, look, yeah, we've been asking this person to stop doing that, and the person keeps doing it. So those scenarios are for me completely different. And I normally don't have a problem in principle with when people want to do that, because I myself been doing that for my entire life. Right?
So, by the way, when I thought of the title, the hero, like the cult of the hero programmer, I wasn't thinking of that.
Right.
I was actually thinking of individualism. I was taking it. One, there is a commonality with a team member who is very committed and puts in the extra hours. And to be honest, as you said, the way you said it, I don't have an issue with that, right? If they want to do it and certain scenarios and so on, as long as this does not lead to like a constant expectation and burnout and those kind of things, I don't have an issue with it. People are committed, and also we came to the programming world because we love doing it. It's not only our work, but it's also our hobby. Often, right? Doesn't have to be, but often is. So I don't have an issue with this. The issue I have with a hero programmer, and we'll take some of those scenarios, is individualism, right? So take the scenario of I'm going to spend a couple of hours or 2-3 hours of my own time, and I'm going to, this area is shit, I'm going to start making it better. Individualism means that I'm going to go and do whatever the hell I like without the agreement from the team on how it should be done, right? So I'll move forward. Come tomorrow, I'll say, oh, I've done a lot of this and I've already got a pull request, and everyone, they have to review this huge pull request, or maybe that's not even necessary in case they've just put it into trunk. B, they are now in a situation where a lot of work is done in a direction that the rest of the team doesn't necessarily agree, but they are under pressure to get it completed anyway. So there's a lot of these kind of things, which actually is someone taking kind of matters into their own hands without a consensus from the team. and taking it into a direction where the team is not agree, and having creating more problems than actually solving than the solution that they are proposing.
There,
That's my
there
problem.
are aspects of that that I have seen in the hero thing, but there is something missing in your description, which is again saving the day. Because if someone is just doing that, they're just creating problems, and they're just going on their own and doing shit, and then expecting the team to deal with it, right? Um, I've seen that happen when again there's stuff like a deadline or a bug or whatever, and maybe the person that is doing this is not necessarily the best technical person to do it, but they are the ones that are willing to do it, no, or they know the system or whatever, and then they find the solution in the way that they know how to do it, which may not be the best. Yeah. So that aspect of doing things, um, let's say willy nilly or without an agreement or without whatever, like that aspect I've seen. Uh, but there's a missing part in the definition, no, which is saving the day, because what you described doesn't seem like saving the day. It just
No, no,
means
but they can be saving the day. So I've seen many places where actually they've taken a particular, there is a problem in production, something is going wrong, or there's a defect. It's a small defect, and someone's directly often that's they have this relationship with outside stakeholders, by the way, who compound this kind of behavior. Is that someone comes to them and say, oh, you know what, no one's sorting my this problem out. Can you go and sort it out? And the way that they go sort it out is like patching and very tactical changes, and causing more problems for the future. But they have saved the day then. So people are coming in to say solve this, and they're solving it in their own way, but actually causing, and those stakeholders think, oh yeah, this guy really responds to me, but the rest of the team is now picking up the pieces and cleaning up after them, right? So they're still saving the day,
yeah.
but in a way that is detrimental to their team, but maybe giving them glory from different
It's
directions.
it's a good point that you bring up, that this is reinforced a lot of the time by the business itself. And you just reminded me of a conversation I had with a, let's say, well-known manager in, at least in the circles where we move on Twitter and stuff. This guy at that time was working for an American company, and one of his complaints was that there was this team inside the company, that it's a team of heroes, right? It's like it's SEAL Team Six, yeah, but without all the skill, you know? But they had a lot of knowledge. They had a lot of knowledge of the system, and they would just drop in one area, implement a feature really fast or whatever because the business was asking for it, and then leave and leave the mess for the team that own that component or that.
Leave the carnage behind.
Exactly, all the bodies, leave all the bodies. But it was, and I remember having that conversation and actually taking, yeah, because what I was telling him is like, okay, but what is the problem with that? They are solving a need for the business, so you can expect the business not to rely on them when they actually solve some of the issues, right? Like, so if you have a problem, it can be that those people cannot work there. Like, there needs to be some other. You may have a problem with how they do it or how they go about it when they leave, or like whatever it is, and then you can try to work around those things, no, and increase some awareness. But the reality is they get results done, right?
They get shit
So
done. But the
exactly.
funny thing is, this speaks to the questions that are, I think, by Yarai a few times is asked, like, well, is it really? Are we really describing a hero? Doesn't sound like a hero because the team hates him. Well, they're not a hero to the team. They're a hero. If you're a team player, you're not a hero, right? You're part of the team. They are a hero to everyone else outside the team.
No, so I have a different perspective. The This is what I was saying, that it is when people do the things because they want to. And this is different from a hero from an external perspective. Oh, finally my camera focused, because I've been fighting with my camera to focus. But anyway, so so there is the perception of a hero from an external perspective, right? So from other people. But I think that the other perspective that I was trying to bring is the complex of a hero, or the hero complex, is that the person thinks that they are a hero. So that is a very different kind of thing. And by the way, I'm talking about from experience, right? So coming from this is the thing, right? So what happens is you are in an environment, and there are things that you cannot control, or you don't have power to change. Yeah. And then, or you don't have the time, or whatever, you cannot convince anyone, and then all of a sudden you decide to take matters on your own hands and say, you know what, fuck that, I'm going to stay until late, or I'm very excited about this, and I know we don't have time to work on this, but I see all those gaps, I see all those things not working well, no one does anything about it, it doesn't matter what I say, you know what, screw that, I'm going to do it. And then all of a sudden you spend a weekend or night, because, and by the way, you don't do that with anger normally, right? You do that with pleasure. You say, you know what, like, I want to stay, like, I'm really looking forward to work on this stuff. It doesn't get done. I will do something that I'm keen on doing, that I want to do anyway, and it will be good for the company. And that's where you start from in your head. Yeah. And we start with all the good intentions in the world. And this sensation, normally at the beginning, it is very positive. It's almost like an injection of something that there is that thing, like you know what, like went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I went to bed very happy. You know what, like I really got that done. Finally, after a long time, just was able to create some time, create some space, got that done, and you go to bed happy or ready to do that again next day, right? So, and the way I see this is often this starts very positively, and it creates that thing that keeps you going and doing that more and more. But then the way that I was describing that in the past, it goes through, there is a psychological effect in your head. What starts with very positive, and I even like spoke to one of our guys about that a while back. It starts very positive, that you are doing a good thing and everyone is happy about it. But then all of a sudden you do that more and more often, and then you say, okay, yeah, you know what, no, it's cool that I'm getting to do that, but then no one else is doing, but it's fine, I'm doing it. And then you go to the next stage. I'm the only one doing this thing, and no one cares
You start
about it.
resenting. You start
This is what I'm
resenting
saying. There
everyone
is a
else because you're not.
progression. It's exactly it. So there is a progression where then all of a sudden your behavior, you start comparing others to you and say, like, but no one else cares as much as I can. No one else does that. And then you go from a very positive emotion to like a sense of frustration, a sense of unfairness, to the point of anger. And now all of a sudden the whole world is shit, because you are the only one that sees the light. You are the only ones that cares about the right things, that put the effort, and no one else does that. And then all of a sudden you have that feeling of unfairness. You know what?
I
That no
got
one
a little
understands.
vibe there around, anger leads to hate, the dark side. No, like,
Actually, Jirai is asking a very interesting question. He says that using hero, the word hero, in a pejorative way risks creating a culture of conformity. That, if we're saying heroes are bad, then we are in a way promoting mediocrity. Right.
that's an interesting take on that. I don't think so, because you don't need to, because for me the hero aspect is the sacrifice and there's that aspect, no, and I feel like you can be very good, very good professional, very good technically and so on, and not necessarily have to go through that, right? So for me, the saying that you can only do that if you're called a hero, or if people, find it, that's I see that as a bit of a flawed logic in that sense. you don't want people to have that cultural not conformity or complacency. Yeah, I would more than conformity. I think it would be more complacency, where it's fine. Just doing things to get by.
Hmm.
Overall, you don't want that. But I don't necessarily think that that is a result of trying to avoid that hero complex or that hero cult that we're talking about. That's my take.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
go, Ash. Yeah, you go.
No, I was just thinking that, like, I mean, the kind of thing that we are talking about here is, that whole thing. And I'm sorry, but I'm gonna bring Elon Musk in now.
Go for
that
it. This is
that
trending topic. Like this
yeah,
will put us at the top of the chart when it comes
exactly. I,
to.
d- I don't actually know if this happened or if just Twitter news, but y- uh, apparently he kind of, I don't know, performance managed people based on the lines of code they wrote or something like this, right? And uh, this kind of behavior, like, people who are very good team players and the actual unsung heroes, let's use that word in a positive way, unsung heroes within a team are not just about writing the code. Of course, they might be sitting around at the weekend and writing code and everything else, but they are also the ones that are helping others in the team, right? To them, of it takes a saint for to be completely selfless. Everyone has an ego, right? But to them, the success of the team and the individuals within it matters a lot. They care about the code, they care about the product that they're creating, but they also care about their team members. And for someone of that ilk, they cannot then compete if the competition is how many lines of code you written, because that's not what they're optimizing their work on. Their work is not just writing the code, their work is actually helping others write the code as well.
Yeah, to be fair, like it's very difficult to know what is truth or not, like mainly on Twitter and through Elon Musk. But I think that what I heard again, and I probably should not even dive into this too much, but he was just trying to see who was actually contributing and who wrote code, who contributed with something in the past few months. It was not
I
about the
see.
line of code. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to,
I knew there was a bit for kind of
yeah,
a too. It was too
but
straightforward a story for it to
yeah.
be
So and then
true,
of course people
or
generalize,
totally
but
true
but
at least.
anyway, but
We could
regardless.
probably dedicate a full fireside chat to analyzing Elon Musk's thing. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot of hidden gems in there.
I better
yeah.
I better go watch his documentary then. There's a couple of his documentaries flying about. So
Right,
as prep.
but let's back to back
Yeah,
to the
back to
topic.
back to the thing. Like one other topic is like this concept is also very associated, I think, with the whole 10x developer concept, right? Like the idea that you have one person that is worth 10, kind of, and that is why they can be a hero, no, or save the day or whatever. So, what do you think about that?
This is what I was thinking, because like there are the two different perspectives. There is an individual perspective of their contributions and their hero complex, or they being 10 times better than someone else. And there is the perception of the organization, the teams, managers, or whoever, of that person, them being a hero, being 10 times better than anyone else. And those things are very different in my head, completely different, right? So, if we take like I just want you still take the personal perspective, because this is where I was like before we changed. Um, I normally and the thing that Gerai said about what was it like not using hero as a pejorative term may lead to complacence or conformity. I think he said. I agree with that, because like even internally. at Codurance, we always talk about going the extra mile with our clients, right? So we always talk about our services going the extra mile and stuff. But that also means that that cascades down to every professional. Also saying like, what else? So for example, I don't want just to stick to what is in my job description, right? So we are always, for example, there is an expectation that people are committed. We are not talking about number of hours here. So just not to mix the two things. But there is that commitment, that extra mile, that extra service. And that sentiment, I think that is very positive. And maybe when you are enjoying our job, and as I said, I've been doing that. I just changed jobs. Like I don't write code anymore. But every now and again, I go on a long night spree or a weekend spree to do something that I want to do and I'm enjoying doing. And I don't think there is anything wrong with that, right? So, and I think those people should be treasured, which is different from the company forcing people to work extra hour, and there is an expectation that so that's a very different situation. It's a very different situation. And when we think about, although I don't like how specific the 10x is, because like the 10 is a number we try to calculate, or how do you calculate that and stuff. But like we all worked with different people, we all managed people, and there is no doubt that we can see that some people doing similar jobs, they perform way better than others doing the same job with the same title. So that distinction exists. And some people are far better than others, period. If it's 10 times, if it's 5 times, I don't think we can put a number in that. But that's a fact of life. Some people are way more efficient and effective than others.
There actually there's one thing that we are talking as if the only way to be the hero or the 10x is to spend more time, right? But I've actually seen people that work 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and are way more productive than the people who are always on that keyboard. And often they have this kind of course, they have really good skills in terms of software development, software design, all these things, creating simpler solutions, creating just what's needed. But also, they have a very strong sense of outcomes. Whereas often we see a lot of developers, and in my life, I've seen quite a few that actually don't have this eye on the outcome. They're doing refactoring, they're doing other things, they're working, they're creating a lot of stuff, they're creating a lot of lines of code, but they're not creating outcomes. And so I think we also need to, I totally agree with you when you were talking about, I've seen some developers, or I'm purely talking about developers now, but some developers who are way better than others. It is true, but I think it's often more related to how they work, their skill set, and all the things that I mentioned, than the actual amount of hours that they put into the thing.
And this is true for every profession, right?
Yeah.
So every dentist, a lawyer, a hairdresser, and stuff. Some of them are far better than others, and as you said, Mesh, it's not about the time that the amount of time that they work. It's how effective they are, or efficient they are
when they work.
When they work.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So moving on then to what are the what's it called, the negative consequences, let's say, of encouraging something like this, and what can you do to avoid it? Because this is something that maybe it came up not that long ago in a conversation I was having. Someone is let's say they want to do this thing, right? Like they're doing it out of like a dog with a bone kind of thing. Like, oh, I have this problem of work that I really want to get done, and I write code during the weekends and whatever, right? And then its manager on the client comes and says, I don't want this guy working on weekends. I don't want him to burn out. I don't want to, like, how should you discourage that? And if not, like how, like if you don't want to have a negative impact, like how would you go about doing that, and so on, right?
I had the situation not very long ago, right? So I will not mention names, but like probably it's one of our guys. If he's watching this episode, he will know because he will remember the conversations. The
Our people, except for Jirai, nobody watches this thing for
so no,
this kid.
I'm waiting. Actually, like Javier Chacana, there are a few others that I'm missing today here, right? So, but the we there is one guy that I personally like a lot to work with, right? I think that he's really good, really like him. But he went on that. So he said, look, there are things that needs to be done, and we don't get time to do it, or the team doesn't agree or stuff. And then he went on, and I noticed that he was working for many long hours. He's a young guy, doesn't have a family and stuff. So the beginning of his career, right, first years of his career, and he was like burning the midnight oil, right? And I had a few conversations with him. And I said, look, I really need, first of all, like I started appreciating the work that he was doing. I started by appreciating the effort that he had and say, look, he is someone that cares. You don't do that if you don't care. And that needs to be appreciated, right? So that's where you start from. But then my job with him is to say, like, why are you doing that? And I said, is it because you are being forced to do? That means you have like some unreasonable expectations for the delivery of your tasks or the team, or is because you want to do it? Because depends on the answer, we will have a completely different conversation, right? And then he said, no, we do have deadlines, but for the deadlines, we are good. We are doing well. We deliver everything we promise and stuff. But there are things that I want to do that would not fit. But I am enjoying doing that. And he was a person, he's a foreigner that was living in the UK. And he said, look, you know what? It's not that I have tons of other things, but I just love doing this. And I like being in the office. I like doing those stuff. And so for me, it's a pleasure doing that. And then, so I said, you know what? As long as it's very clear in your head that you don't need to do that, you are doing that because you like, then there's nothing for me to do here. However, I gave that advice to him, and that I was telling you, because that was a real story. I said, look, my experience in doing that over time is that you are enjoying doing that now, and you are feeling good about it. You are having fun. You say, like, instead of going home and do nothing or watch a film or whatever, you are programming. That's what I've done throughout my career. So, but I told him the danger of doing that. I said, like, while today you are enjoying doing that, after some time, you might start comparing yourself. You might start holding people at the standard that you are holding yourself. And you start resenting them because they are not putting the amount of hours or that they don't care. And that is when you start getting negative, because then you will feel that you are being treated unfairly. And this is a problem. So, and we had multiple conversations about that. And then he took a bit easy, and every now and again he would burn the midnight oil because he was excited about some task that he wanted to do. And every now and again he would just go home. But it was always keeping him in check. Yeah. And I think that is a guy that I treasure. For example, we were to start a new project, and I recommended him to do that. So that's how I dealt with it.
Isn't you expressing, oh, I really appreciate this, kind of encouraging the behavior?
No,
And
sure,
also,
but why
to
would
what
I?
extent,
No,
to what
sure.
extent
Sure,
should
but
we?
why would I discourage that? So this is the thing. For example, if I recognized that there was a systemic problem, if I recognized that, this is why I said to him, I said, look, if there are unreasonable deadlines or there is massive misalignments and you are all arguing as a team, I will make a systemic intervention. I will bring the team together and say, look, guys, this is what's going on. So how are you going to fix that? Because I don't want anyone to be working extra hours or burning out. But when someone wants to do something and that is healthy, I would be a hypocrite in doing that because I do that until today. Every now and again, it's 11 o'clock. I'm still working because I want to, not because I don't have a boss anymore, and I still do that. Right?
Yeah, I think you have to, when you're speaking to someone who is energized by their work, right? And is working long nights and so on and so on. When you speak to them, you like they, although they're doing it from the goodness of their own heart and they're enjoying it, you can't you can't criticize them for doing it. You have to make them aware of the shortfalls, but not criticize them for the work or the commitment that they're showing. It is a delicate conversation. I think. You can't just go there and say like, "Listen, stop doing
Don't do
this."
exactly. Don't do this anymore. If you do this again, I'm gonna,
You
punish
will
you in
kill
some
their
way. No,
motivation. Exactly, you're gonna kill that motivation. Like you're gonna suppress it. Like what's important is you being a more experienced person, being this person manager or whatever. It's important that you understand that what's going on and you keep monitoring that so that it doesn't tip to the other end. But you keep that conversation going and stuff, and make sure that it remains healthy. And when you feel that it's not healthy anymore, you intervene. You say, look, you know what? I think we should have a
Uh,
conversation here.
and there is another thing. What makes, like, okay, someone who is not going to bed in time is one thing, yeah. But let's say, if your routine is you're gonna go home, have lunch, or dinner rather, and then go watch Netflix for the next 3 hours. What's the difference from watching Netflix for 3 hours than opening your laptop and doing a bit of coding? Like, why is it considered?
isn't
How
that
is
how open source gets created?
exactly what exactly why is that considered like an unhealthy activity? If, let's say, of course, you're going to bed at the right time, you're getting up, you're getting your exercise, you're eating your greens, and the time that you spend watching a movie is spent on, I don't know, making a pull request to open source or to your own code base. Why is that unhealthy?
Yeah. So
Well,
so
I guess this it's unhealthy in the sense that some people have a hard time uh, having self control with that, and they may end up in burnout. And I'm when I think about this, I'm all for individual responsibility, right? Like you need to take care of yourself, right? Like if it's not, you should know when enough is enough, right? And if you want to do it, you do it, and if you don't want to do it, then you don't do it, and it's fine. Both ways, it's fine, right? But some people do struggle with having that balance, no, or that. And by the way, when I say balance, I'm not saying it's the same for everyone or anything like that, but walking that line where you're doing what you like, but it's still not cutting into your well-being, no, or yeah, to the edge of or taking you to the edge of burning out, yeah. And here there's a couple of perspectives, and by the way, this is something that we've been discussing internally, because to what extent should you as a manager or the company enforce that, right? Because you have a duty, no, to provide a healthy work environment and all of these things, right? But does your responsibility end at, hey, this is most likely going to affect you. You may end up resenting, blah blah. You may be too tired to work in the morning. You may end up disliking what you do just because you're doing too much of it, right? Um, and there you go. Healthy advice. If you want, you can put it on record, and that's it. No, versus uh, you don't do it. The next time you do it, that's
no,
gonna count against you, or you know what I mean, like that.
yeah, no, I would be
Enforcing
against
it
that.
as
I think you do have a responsibility. Like, so you being in a management position or in a leadership position, you do have some responsibility to understand where the problems are and tend to go there and fix them. But first of all, we need to make sure that this is a problem, right? So, and I think that I personally, for example, when I look back at the story that I just told you, I don't regret how I dealt with it. I would do that exactly the same. I would speak to the person. I would try to understand, is there a problem here? Is just someone, even going back to my own trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
and say, like, would I uh, regret having done what I've done in the past, or even what I do today? No, I don't. I enjoy doing that. It motivates me. So, so my job as a manager, or a leadership, personal leadership, is making sure that this person is advised, is supported, make sure that I'm there, like, when if things start tipping that way. But if the person is happy and everyone is happy, uh, why would I surprise it? And we also make an effort. Everyone wants to hire passionate developers, or passionate people. So there is that thing about, we want people that are passionate, that like what they do and enjoy their do. Let them enjoy their job, as long as it's not burning them out. While it's healthy, while they're happy doing that, then our job is to making sure that it just doesn't turn unhappy. But let them be creative. It's at midnight where they are creative, so be it. You know. And they need to have personal relationship. Personal responsibility is also important as well. We have a responsibility, for certain, to monitor that, to create a space where, again, make sure that people don't feel pressured. Another thing that we need to worry about, and I think that is part of our responsibility, is when someone does that, that it doesn't become peer pressure.
Yeah,
Because this is another problem.
that's a very good point.
Right? So we need to make sure, look, you want to do that? Great. Knock yourself out. Have fun, stand till 3 o'clock, do whatever you want to do. But
But
don't,
everyone needs to understand that this is not what
exactly,
is expected of
exactly.
everyone.
But don't
And
start now trying to ask people to do the same, or think that you are more because you are doing that and others are not doing.
Or even
Because
inadvertently cause more work for others.
this is the problem. This happened with this person, by the way, because this was not a full healthy thing, because at some point it got to the point of frustration. The frustration was exactly that, because this person was working late, was taking the time when he was not in video calls, not pairing with someone, and they would just go there and change stuff. But he could not realize why the team was not happy with it, because he was thinking that he was being treated unfairly, because the team was against him, because they were always against his ideas. I said, look, what you don't understand is that when you do that, it's not that you are doing more work than them. You are creating more work to them, because they need to then merge your pull requests. They need to review a bunch of stuff that you did overnight. So you are creating problems with them, and you are creating things that they are not okay with. So those are the things that we need to manage as a team lead, as a manage a project. Those are the things you need to be worried about. But when
And
people are boxed,
and this is the thing that you like. If you, it's a personal responsibility on that person as well, is that when they are going to do something, and people are in most cases working in context of a team, right? They should seek some agreement from the team, right? Is that, you know what, I've got time off. I don't have any other things. This is, I really enjoy doing this. Let's agree on this direction, this thing, and I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna, once you, if you agree with the rest of your team, and they buy in what you are doing, then it's a much easier conversation. Then you are actually in a way lifting the team. You are making things better for the team. And I think that's also very important, is that not to take kind of a unanimous decision, unanimous direction, and then think that you're doing well for the team, when you haven't actually asked their opinion, you haven't asked their point of view, and you just think that you're doing the right by the team, when they might not even think so. You might actually be doing it, but if they are not bought into it, if they don't fully understand what you're trying to do, to them it's going to cause a lot of worries. They don't know what's happening. They don't know what this open heart surgery is about and how it's going to land on their plate.
Yeah.
What if they're doing it because of the ego? Like, how do you manage that? Someone who likes that, who likes being the one with the solution.
So sorry, say ask again because I didn't fully understand your question.
Like, what if they're doing it out of ego? So we're talking also about the motivation here for
Hmm.
something like this. And one of the reasons that we mentioned before was, they like the spotlight, no, or they like the being considered as, the one that saved the day, or this kind of stuff, no.
But
So when someone is doing it because of that, what what can you do? Because the other case was like, okay, so there's motivation, blah blah, as long as you have a healthy balance, etc. But
mm,
this is
good
more
question.
around the lines of, I just want
If
to
their
do it.
if their intentions
Intention
are not good, eh?
well, I was saying they're not good. I'm just saying that they are focused on themselves more than they're
Than
focused
the team,
on the
the
team,
objective
or
of the team.
the.
Oops, sorry, I clicked something that I'm just trying to. So
Very
the
nice.
no,
Very.
sorry.
We're figuring
That's
The
out
pretty.
StreamYard
That
as we stream.
exactly.
This is.
that's
So
pretty
so
cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I can click on a comment and then it will show directly. The only reason that I was trying to do that, and I just realized that I did the wrong thing, was there is Carl. Carl, you are on live on LinkedIn, and it's very difficult for us to reply to you through the tool we have. But if you jump on the YouTube link, it's much easier for us to interact. I want to send a message to Carl because it's the second live fireside chat he joins us, and he's I think he's alone in that, and we are not able to reply to you. But we are seeing what
Oh,
you are
we
posting, Carl, and thank you very much for sending your messages and everything.
All right. So someone is saying that the system needs to let him go on to another position that will still make use of him, maybe, no, or
so
something
so
along those lines. So you basically move him around the organization to a position where he can get what he's craving for, while using, their
well
skills, I guess.
well yeah. I think this is a nice way to saying to get them out of the team. Put them somewhere else. Um, it's a very, very interesting question, right? Well, first of all, how do you know that their intentions are not are not, let's not say not good, but their intentions are self-serving? Everyone's intentions are often
Mhm.
self-serving. So how do you know that their self-serving intentions? Con- the problem is when it conflicts with the team's goals, right?
Exactly, because like no one, like well, I wouldn't say no one, but like most people that I come across, if not all, when they do those things, when they try to work longer hours or go off script to do something, they are well intentioned, right? So that's often the case. Very rarely, I cannot even remember when someone did that, went off script just to, I don't know.
No, I
Uh,
didn't. I didn't say they had bad intentions. This is, again, I made that note before. Like, it's not. It's not that they're ill intentioned. It's more that they're doing it to feed their egos, right? Like, that's
But
what
that
the main thing.
but the answer remains, right? That if it doesn't conflict with the goals of the team, why is that a problem? And if it conflicts with the goals of the
mhm.
team, then it will be clear. But then it's a
Well,
normal.
I can think of a couple of scenarios where it may not directly conflict with the objective of the team, but it may create an environment, a competitive environment, for instance, where people are looking out to, hang the medal on their chest, kind of thing, and they're constantly trying to give visibility to what they're doing, you know, over
Ah,
others, and that kind of thing. And I've seen that, and some people work well in that environment because they're kind of and this has a relationship with the 5 levels of culture from the tribal leadership book and all of that stuff. Yeah.
I was
Now
gonna
I'm
say, Jose, I was
like,
gonna say to you just now, it seems like you know the answer and you're
Yeah,
asking a
exactly.
different
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, you are leading us to say now,
no, 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 no,
because
no.
this is the
I
No, no,
don't
no,
know.
not
I
at
don't
all.
know.
page 94
Not at all.
of
Enlighten,
Not
please.
at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But because the thing is, I've seen this, right? Like, it's a very competitive environment. Everyone's looking out for themselves, etc. And kind of, they're all, very accomplished professionals on their own. Yeah, but they have that competitive edge. They're always comparing to each other. They're always trying to one off each other, that kind of stuff. And some people thrive in that environment in the sense that they continue to develop, etc., etc. But it doesn't. It is usually not a great environment for building, things that need a lot of collaboration or need a lot of, right. And this is the thing, it goes back to what I was saying about the 5 levels of culture from the tribal leadership book. This is an interesting
Yeah,
book. I really recommend it,
I
where,
read that book. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's what is called level 3 culture. No, it's like, I am
I'm
great
great.
and
They
you
are
are
not.
not.
Yeah.
And you are
I
not.
remember
No,
that. Yeah.
and everyone thinks that they're the best, right? And when you have
And
that,
I think that there is no level five. I think no one is there because level four, if I'm not wrong, was like we are great and so are you, or
and
something along those lines, right?
level 4 is, we are great and they are not. Yeah, and so
Oh,
it's a
right. And
group
then
thing.
everything
And
is
then
great.
the fifth
Everyone's
level
great.
is, life is great. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And there's another 2 underneath that, well, read the book. It's a really good book. So just read it, right? But there's this aspect there of people getting stuck at that level. Yeah, and not being able to see that, they could accomplish so much more if they learn how to, you know see themselves as part of a team, not just as individuals, and how good they are, right? And that they can accomplish a lot more when they work in a team and they are helping everyone grow, and that kind of thing. And it is hard. It is hard because there is uh, a bit of a dopamine cycle going on there. I don't know if dopamine or whatever incentive, hormone you have, like, oh yeah, no, I that craving of solve the puzzles. The same like with TV or any of these things. And it's like, yes, I'm getting the recognition, right? I'm getting that external validation. No, that kind of feeds into my image of self worth and what I am as a professional. No,
Mhm.
and it's difficult. No, it's hard to
Not
work
sure,
with people like that.
but for example, you mentioned quite a few things in here, and one of the things that you mentioned was what would be our responsibility. Let's say, like I mean, we being a team lead or a person in a leadership position and stuff. And for me, like our job here is to be monitoring that, and that goes back. Carl, thank you for joining YouTube, by the way, because Carl was also mentioning about like that different individuals might have different limitations or limits and stuff. This is also up to us. For example, I cannot tell an individual what their limits are, but I can monitor the situation, right? So I can also say like see how the individual is performing, if that is degrading their performance, or they are becoming unhappier, or if it's creating friction within the team. So from an external perspective, then there is a responsibility from someone managing the team or leadership position, because their responsibility is to guarantee the overall health of the project, and that includes the team members, right? The overall health of the whole thing. And if there is someone that need some support, in this person burning out, or becoming really unhappy or dissatisfied, or their work is causing friction with the team, then it is up for that leadership team to be monitoring that and then act accordingly. What I would not like to do is to suppress someone if it's not causing other problems, or even tell someone what their limits are. It's not up to me to tell someone else's limits, but it's up to me. I say I could at least advise. I say, look, just watch out if you're
And
having
warn,
fun,
exactly,
but just
warn them
careful,
around certain things. Yeah.
careful. Like go home, like every now and again, just every now and again, you like in a subtle way, but just send them home. So you know what, just go watch a movie. You know, like
Mhm.
but more in a way that you are joking and helping and not trying to suppress. Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, I think
Cool.
it's time to wrap up, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
You
You're
are
on
on
mute.
mute.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts, any learnings or insights for takeaways that you want to highlight now that we're closing?
I can just summarize like how I see this. If people are, they have the complex of the hero complex, or they are recognized, they are motivated to be a hero by the organization. When the system is pressuring them to work extra hours or to act as a hero, I'm against that. I think that then we need to fix the system and make sure that everyone has a healthy uh, working environment, a sustainable pace, all that kind of stuff. But when individuals themselves are having fun, they enjoy what they're doing, and they are passionate about what they're doing, they want to work to go the extra mile and to do things because they want to, not because they have the pressure to. And as long as they're not causing any frictions with anyone, I think we should let them do that, and we should encourage them, we should recognize and should treasure that.
Yeah.
That's how I
And
feel.
that they are aware of the pitfalls, and they're conscious of it, and they're able to manage it, because as you said, as kind of leaders within the team or outside the team, we have a obligation to make sure that people are not burning out, and they're not putting undue pressures on themselves or the rest of the team, right? But I totally agree with that sentiment. I think from I can, like, from my point of view, the hero programmer, I think, like, my advice is, other than what Sandro said, is that if you do like working extra, and it's part of your hobby and everything else, just make sure to take your team along with you, right? Create work for yourself which is prepared by consultation with the team, and that you're not going in your own direction. I think there is an extra bit. Hero can become a bad thing when it is individualism, right? You may like doing things, but you still have a responsibility to your team, right? And as long as you take that responsibility seriously, and you like doing things in your own time and so on, go for it. But make sure that you take your team along with you, and you do things with their consent, and not make things worse for them.
Mm. And Jose, just before you go, I just want to add one thing. I think that like companies are better companies and more successful and stuff when you have a few individuals that have that spark that we talk about sometimes internally. Like, like having that spark, that extra motivation. We are not talking about extra hours. This is really important that we emphasize, right? So that working extra hour is an orthogonal concept almost. Like this is
Yeah.
almost irrelevant. But is that spark? Is that like thinking, what else can I do? And that kind of commitment, that kind of person that has that intimacy with their own work, that so they should be treasured. I think
Hmm.
that's that.
And those people are outcome focused. They are force multipliers. They are the ones that are helping everybody. They create these sustainable solutions. They're not over complicating things just to set their own ego, those kind of things, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we should treasure that. Some people are better than others. They are more efficient and more effective than others. That's the fact of life, right? And companies are better, but because of some individuals, there is no doubt about
Yeah, I agree with what was said, and again, I think the key point there is understanding whether that is hiding a problem, and if it's hiding a problem, it needs to be addressed. It shouldn't be left to the individual to deal with it or find like that's the only way that they have to deal with that. Yeah, and solve it. It's a different thing having that motivation and that attitude versus that being what's expected or what no or what needs to get done to be able to deliver things. No. Okay, so it seems like a good point to end this. I'm not gonna throw in a new topic at
Oh,
the end of this.
boo.
Again, if this is your first fireside chat, don't forget to like, subscribe. It helps us. Leave some comments if you want to tell us what you think about this topic, or if you have other topics that you think we should discuss as well. And tune in for the next session on Tuesday around this time as well. And
Right.
that's it.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks,
Bye
everyone.
bye, everyone.